Welcome back to 5B1C. I'm Canadian Moose Plays, and today we've got some problems. The sewage is backing up, ambulances are in high demand, and we've got traffic. So let's dive into the time lapse and see if we can save this city. So we need to treat some wastewater, starting with a trip over to Google Maps, and that's where I found this heckin' beauty. It should fit perfectly into one of the available spots along the interchange we did in our last 5B1C build. So let's grab the wastewater treatment plant, which should fit perfectly. There's no groundwater. All right, look away, everybody, for a couple seconds. Just wait. Okay. And perfect. Look at that. It fits perfectly. There's enough groundwater. We didn't have to do anything sussy. It's perfect. Let's hop into the time lapse and get this thing built. Welcome into the time lapse portion, everybody. So we're going to continue on with this water treatment facility and see if we can get this area looking pretty good. Now, I gotta be careful because I've still got my mods on. I really should just make a profile that's like the 5B1C profile, but I had used some mods that we weren't supposed to in this build, so I don't do a lot of detailing here because we don't have any of the extra detailing tools. So this one's gonna be more focused on expanding the build that we did. Not crazy detailing, but leaving enough space that we could come in and detail if we do choose to add more mods, either as this season progresses or in another season if we do come back to this build, which would be really, really cool. Because I'd love to come in and just detail this properly. There's tons of stuff you can do in vanilla, but a lot of the stuff I want to do does require mods for that, especially the extra detailing ones. So we're going to come in and place the sewage build, and I'm going to use the bulldozer there. Really cool, actually. Better Bulldozer got an upgrade, so it can bulldoze sub-buildings, which is super nice. But as I come along to try and place this, I hope that these buildings, it looked like they did, but I'm placing sub-buildings using Find It instead, so I can place them not attached for a better visual appearance. I hope that ends up working. It seems like it did. So I'm hoping it stays that way. And now I'm going to come in and we're going to add a little spot here. Shout out to Cities by Diana. I saw this and I was like, oh man, that's... she used it in like kind of like a meme way. It's like the center of the city, but I was like, oh wait, I wonder if this will function as like an actual spot to store sewage, just because the visual appearance of it is really nice. Like well, it's not nice. It's poo water. But the aesthetic is rather nice. Of course, this area would probably, my God, the smells over here gotta be wild. So that's what you can see me doing here as we terraform and get the sewage pipes attached to it to see if we could get that functioning. That's a spot where we can store the sewage or the aesthetic, but also, you know, functional spot, more sewage pipes. Getting this building into did address the sewage issues that we were having, so the backup has now been solved with this building. So that's really good to see. And all the people that were complaining about sewage at the start are now happy. They can go to the bathroom and their sewage isn't overflowing, which is awesome. So these power lines, they still haven't addressed it, eh? So these power lines that you place, really nice visual appearance, but you need the Move It mod to raise them up. And if they're attached to a network, you can't actually raise it up without raising the whole network. So you're going to see me bulldoze it there, replace it, but not attached to the network. That way I can raise it up without raising up the whole road. But I do still want it to connect into the road. So one here where it didn't look as bad visually connects into the road. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad at all, hey? And then we'll come in with Move It to raise this up. Really odd that they give you this nice visual appearance of the power lines, and yet it absolutely decimates terrain. But here it is. It is flowing. We got water. Which I should be saying we got sewage. It is flowing. Beautiful tree and rock in there. That's great. I should probably come in and bulldoze those. I don't know. Did I leave those in? That poor tree and that poor rock. Oh my God. But you're going to see them start to fill up. And my thinking was, does it stop? Like, does it recognize the height? Or does it just keep filling until it floods? Because obviously pouring them into the river's going downstream. So it doesn't actually raise the height of the water. It just flows with the river downstream from the ones that I placed. does it do the same here? Like, does it recognize the road? Like, how does it work? Or does it keep going until it overflows? And you're going to see here very shortly what the result is. It's a little bit sad, but, you know, it is what it is. So we're just going to hang out together, take in that beautiful, beautiful aroma by the water treatment facility, and see if we get a, not really a poo-nami of sorts, more a poo flow over the flood. The poo flood. Something like that. There's a better name there that I can't think of right now, but there's a better there's a better name for what this is called. But there it is. Look at those beautiful basins. They're getting pretty full there. Linden Lane. What do we got? Coleridge Lane. Nice. Good stuff. I mean, like, actually, like, the aesthetic, I think it looks nice. Like, it kind of sells the area there with those being... Now, granted, the ones that I did see on Google Maps were actually watercolored and looked, you know, like water. This is just sewage. And I thought I could do a water basin here. That was going to be the idea. But as you can see, getting too close to it, it causes it to flood. I might come in and still add ones that are just water to contrast the color of the sewage. But I got to figure out how I can, because I do want them to be like side by side by the road. So I got to figure out if there's a way, like, do I make Coleridge Lane a key on one side? Does that actually block it? By making it a key, maybe, hopefully. But it is interesting that the sewage would flow through there. But as you can see here, unfortunately, there is no way for you to sort of stop it at a certain elevation and be like, hey, this is kind of the elevation I want the sewage to stop at. It just keeps going until it floods the entire thing. Like, it even floods the buildings. You can see, like, that building is full. That is and there it is. There it is. As it starts to touch the road, it's gonna go over, which is sad because I was really hoping I could just keep these on functioning the whole time and they would just stay at a certain level. But we can come in. It's just like an added step, right? So you're gonna come in, turn them off, and then you can turn them on again at some point. But yeah, there it is. It just touched and we caught it just in time. So we'll keep those turned off, and now let's move on to some other issues throughout. Oh my god, a car crash just happened right there as well too. Oh my god. I've never seen the, like, never, not even a single time. I've never seen the car crashes happen in front of me. Like, I've never been there to witness one of them sort of happen. It just kind of, they exist in the city, but I've never seen it occur in front of me. Just sad. I wonder, like, yeah, I wonder how they, be cool to see what they look like. All right, so now we're going to come in and we're going to adjust this road here and make this look a little bit, well, first of all, make this function. But this is going to serve as the highway entrance into our water treatment plant. And we're going for a pretty simple one here, expanding on the modular roads idea, which I absolutely love. And I forgot to cover this in the modular roads video, but you can apply this same method to suburban roads. So like the roads with sidewalks, it doesn't just have to be highways. We've got one-way roads, and you can apply this same thinking to those one-way roads. So we're going to add in a turning lane here, and I love doing these little pocket turning lanes because they are quite common in the city that I live in, and I would almost say North American cities as a whole. I've seen it quite a few times. Just these little pockets that can bypass straight in, especially in the city that I was raised in, Kamloops, British Columbia. They are very common there. And then we're going to come in with Move It and use easily my favorite feature, this miniature node controller that is baked into Move It. It is just, oh my god, Cuboid absolutely crushed it with this. It is just so dang good. One of easily the best feature above like moving stuff. I actually think I prefer the the node controller feature of Move It. So we're going to adjust that there just to make that look a little bit nicer and try to find the angle that looks the best, and it's going to give it the smoothest connection there so that we can just visually it looks pleasing. And then we'll come in with the traffic mod, which is another absolutely phenomenal mod that has just been so useful here. Now, I initially removed that right turning lane, but I realized, oh, I didn't add an actual lane for it to go in like a separate turning lane. So we're going to actually need to keep that right turn. So we're going to go in with traffic and just adjust that so that they can turn from Birdsong Highway into the water treatment facility there. So I'm going to come in and, yeah, there it is. We realize, oh, the mistake that we did, and now that's going to flow much better. So here is one of the mistakes, the only mistake actually of the episode. I thought that this thing sent out ambulances, so I was like, okay, well, we need more ambulances, we need more hospitals, right? I really like the look of this health research institute, and I thought that they did send out ambulances, but that is not correct. They don't. So I placed this thing in the hopes that it'll send out ambulances, also to serve the suburb that we built in our last entry for 5B1C. But no, that's not the case. They they don't send out ambulances, so we don't actually solve the health crisis that's going on, and it certainly worsens as the episode goes on. So Godspeed to Teddy Radko, who's going to be the builder taking this on after me. I've left him a couple chores to do that you'll see later on in the episode. There are a couple pieces for Teddy to explore from the chaos that we start with. More modular roads. It gets really wild in this episode as we go. So something that I want to add a little bit more of in this suburb as we build it out are these bodies of water. I don't know if they're considered, like, it's not a lake. I mean, I guess it would just be called a pond, right? But they have these little, yeah, we'll call them ponds. I'm sure somebody in chat who's more familiar with Florida can correct me if they call them lakes. Size-wise, it's probably a pond, right? But these ponds are all over Floridian cities, like just absolutely everywhere. I love it, too. I love how, just like how much water there is in Florida. Like, more so, I don't know, it just feels, I like how they interact with water, I guess. There's just like these ponds that are just like absolutely everywhere. It's just really cool. I like it. It looks really, really nice. And Crazy's cool. I don't know, just visually, it's super, super nice. So I'm going to come in here with the water, I believe it's the water features mod. Unfortunately, I did flood it, as you can see here. We have a little bit of overflow, but I'm going to come in and clean that up. It was me testing to see what the depth is. So if you try this idea out yourself, terraform down by about 4 degrees there, so you can see, and set the water, so I use the lake, set the lake to 3 for its depth, and then that should be good and it won't flood. Near the end of the episode, I go back there and check on it, and there's no flooding. So next up, we're going to come and take a look at the highways here and see if we can get something working a little bit better here. The traffic wasn't too crazy now. When I first came in and shot the opening cinematics, as you can see in the opening cinematics, the traffic here was a lot worse. It does start to get a little bit bad, but it's not horrible. And sort of my thinking here, I'm not Biffa. I'm not a traffic expert by any means. I prefer traffic, actually. The more traffic, the better, because that's realistic to the places that I live in. It's realistic to most metro cities, and you know, usually I'm building big cities. So I actually like the traffic, but what I figured is let's use some of these lanes to actually divert them to bypass this highway. And what they're going to do is connect into this main 2-way road that runs past the train station, but that road also bypasses the highway and becomes elevated with no portion of the highway connecting it. So what it becomes is a straight shoot, basically a bypass of the entire highway system, because what was happening is they were using the one lane that we have leading into this big area, right? I mean, you can see the residentials. There's so many tall buildings. And they were all taking the one lane that would lead them in, right? Causing huge backups. Now they can actually bypass the highway altogether and still get into the city or access the train station. So this ends up working really well and clears up the traffic perfectly. So the thing that I've learned the most from traffic in this game, because I know some people do say, oh, there's no traffic in this game, and it is less. I will say it's certainly less from what I've seen in City Skylines 1, but you can absolutely have traffic jams. I mean, we are at a population of 174,000 here, but we have a gnarly traffic jam that I kind of want to get Biffa involved in. So if you watch Biffa, maybe comment and say, hey, you know, check out 5B1C. I think it'd be cool to have Biffa dive into it. I believe Teddy is going to try his hand at it next episode, so that'll be super exciting. Think of this as kind of like a part 1, and Teddy's going to have part 2 with a bunch of other very Teddy-esque stuff. It's really, really exciting. But it would be cool to see Biffa take a look at this as well. We had some crazy, crazy traffic. But yeah, you can get bad traffic and traffic backups. So here it is, actually. We're going to hop over to this part now. Now that it seemed like that other one that was a major congestion has been fixed, we're going to hop over here, and this is the one that is crazy. So I'm going to come in and bulldoze the roads that are set up here, and we're going to implement the modular roads idea, which actually does work really well to solve traffic on one portion, because what I had is a bunch of these trucks, as you can see, are just ripping through the suburb. We also had trams coming through that were just causing absolute chaos on the streets because of their size and how much space they were taking up there. So I decided, okay, let's get rid of the trams and let's focus on just the roads for this episode at least. And again, Teddy is going to come and take a look at this area and apply some of his changes to it. So this area is going to be expanding through this episode and through the next episode, which you can find over on Teddy Radco's channel, which is linked below. So make sure to check that out. Teddy's awesome. And when you get a chance, Teddy's been really busy and hasn't been able to upload as much. So when you get a chance, when you see that Teddy Radco upload, you do not want to miss it. So we're going to come in, and I don't think... So I'm going to try messing with it first, but I don't think that the roundabouts are the way to go for this. I know people love roundabouts, but we're going to apply our North American flavor here instead. Just because it's not... Like, I try with the roundabout first, but first of all, we don't even have enough space for it. But it just didn't end up being what I wanted it to be. And I think it actually works better, because what we're going to do instead of the roundabout is our modular roads idea with custom, dedicated turning lanes. So they'll have their own turning lane that they can actually bypass the intersection, which usually works really well, especially if you have a lot of traffic that's trying to turn right. It is so useful. Great way to enter onto a highway as well, because you can just bypass everything. And in this area, we have so much industry traffic, and I'm not sure what is really causing it. I did see, so we have a cargo yard, and that's where all the truck traffic is headed, so that is obviously a piece of it. But I've placed those assets in other cities before, and I've never had just this sheer amount of traffic that we have in this area specifically. Now, I do see that there are some farms, and there was some zoned industry, but it was surreal to see, like, just how much traffic it seems that those areas can pump out. It's extremely unrealistic, in my opinion. And it's unfortunate that this game still does just ungodly amounts of traffic from industry, similar to what the first one struggled with as well. So we're going to have this connect in, and we're going to do the same idea that you've seen in my last entry into 5B1C. And we're going to give them the dedicated turning lanes and create a custom intersection here. So we're going to come in, add the turning lane, but we got to use move it on that intersection first to stretch the node out there. So you're going to see me come in and adjust that as well. I got to, yeah, we got to stretch that way out. Yep. There it is. We start to notice what's going on. So we're going to go in, and that's all you do, right? So you just come in with move it and the node manipulation. That's the name. The node manipulation tool, and you can just stretch that node way out. And you want it to be as wide as where your road would be so that it connects. And what we're creating there is one node, right? That way traffic all interacts with it as one node for the road. Now, this road automatically connected to that road, that alleyway road that crosses or sort of access the road for the soccer fields. And I'm kind of okay with it. I kind of like it. At first, I was like, oh, should I bulldoze that and redraw it? But I kind of like it, you know? I'm not, I don't mind it. Added a turning lane there so that we've got some more options for the traffic. Again, the big thing that I've really learned about traffic here is the more opportunities you give them, or the more options they have, essentially the less worse, the less bad, less worse, less bad, one of those. Your traffic will be gooder, you know, if you give them more options. So yeah, the more options, the better is kind of what I've noticed about this. So I'm gonna try and figure this now. We're on a pretty intense, like there's some crazy hills going on here. So I'm gonna try my hand a couple times to see if I can get this road to look nice on the slope. It's just something that I really struggle with in this game is the slopes. And just kind of figuring out unique ways to mess with it. I will say the one cool thing about the struggle with City Skylines 2 and slopes is that I've learned to use actually the slope terrain function that I never really knew how to use it in Cities 1, but I learned how to use it in Cities 2, and when I've gone back to Cities 1, I've actually been able to learn how to use it there because it's the same slope terrain tool, which is really cool. So you're going to see me come in here with the one-way, and what I should have been doing there, maybe a keen observer caught and was like, why are you not using the parallel tool? I always forget about the parallel tool, like, just all the time. I seriously constantly forget that thing is built into the game now. Similar to how I always forget that you can draw roads through roads, like through networks. Yeah, my God, I always forget that. So I'm going to draw out the road here and just kind of get these connection points to look a little bit better. But something that I realized here is we can actually separate the landfill and the tram depot there as well. So we have it connected to a separate road. Now, I kept it separate for a little bit. And I think maybe it was I don't know, the traffic over here, like what we end up doing here in this specific stretch works. It's the stretch by the zoned industry and the zoned suburbs that still is really struggling. But this idea does actually work, so maybe it's fine. But I do end up connecting this road back into the tram depot, and I was a little bit worried, like, is that going to make the traffic worse? Should I have done that? It ends up being fine on this side here. So we draw that all the way through now, and I was kind of trying to figure out what are we going to do here, because I want an intersection, right? So this side here, the second roundabout, this is the side that has the zoned industry on it. And that's what really seems to be causing a lot of the bottleneck. So it seems to be coming straight from the zoned industry into our little cargo depot. But it's like, it's crazy. It's not even that much zoned industry. And it's not even, yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot. Like, it doesn't seem, I don't know, it seems insane. the amount of traffic that we get going, yeah, it's heavy. I don't know, it's a lot. I'm very excited to see what Teddy comes up with as he expands on the idea that we lay the groundwork for in this episode. Because there's stuff that I just didn't have time for. Although looking back on the video, this episode doesn't end up being as long as I thought it would be. But I was kind of, I was nervous that this video was going to be like an hour. And maybe it would have been with all the stuff that I wanted to add. But I always figure too, like, I'm going to get another round, so, you know, I'll have time to do these adjustments in a future video. But yeah, I was reaching out to Teddy in DMs, and he wanted to tackle it as well. So we're kind of doing like a little bit of a two-parter here where, so make sure you check out Teddy's episode, right? Because it's going to have more on the area that you're witnessing here. So we're going to come in and implement the turning lanes here that are going to connect in. And, man, you know, I've been playing a lot of Cities 1 lately just because I miss the assets. But, oh my God, the road tools, man. I love the road tools. I also just love how detailed all the assets are. Again, it's something that I really hope when we get assets for City Skylines 2, I really hope that the detail stays. The assets are as detailed. Because my God, does it save so much time. And like, I love detailing. I'm a detailer, born and raised. Yep, born and raised detailer. But I don't know, anything that details for me, like, I love that. I detail because I have to, not necessarily because I want to. So we're gonna add our little pocket turning lane here, and this one looks like this one I'm probably the most pleased with. Like, that looks visually, I'm stoked on that. Again, the road tools, man, the road tools are so good. And then we add another turn off option there for them, so they've got turn on, turn off, and then a turning pocket for the traffic that's going to come the other way. So we're going to connect this in, and we're going to begin the second interchange now of this episode here. Another modular interchange, so we're just going to stretch that node way, way out, and then add the brick lanes there. Cool. I also thought, you know, watching this footage back, I had an idea. I'm gonna, you know what? Maybe I don't share it yet. Maybe I don't spoil it, because I think I might do a video on it. Yeah, I have a better. Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna spoil it. I had an idea. Watching this time-lapse back of something I want to do when we do future road construction projects that I think will be really fun. So you know what? You'll see. Yeah, maybe in a future video episode or something, I'll think about it. Also, all of these vehicles are the same, hey? They're all these box trucks. That's crazy. Yeah, so we're gonna get that road connected there on a nice angle, and now we've got just the one node there. So we're gonna make sure add the traffic light and then add the crosswalk. Now, I'm not really, like, pedestrians aren't gonna be really crossing here. I just like adding the crosswalks as sort of a visual cue that, like, oh, okay, this is how stretched out the node is, so that when I go in with move it to make it look prettier, I can see a little bit more sort of how stretched it is and how I'd like it to be. Like, just visually, it helps me to line it up a lot better. So now we're going to come in and clean up this intersection a little bit. Make sure as well, too, that there's no traffic lights or crosswalks on the parts that are meant to be the dedicated turning lanes there. Again, this is not going to be a pedestrian zone. I also maybe should have added, yeah, you know what, over the highway, we should get some more pedestrian bridges in. When I come back, I don't know if I'll come back directly to this area. Like, I want to see what Teddy comes up with first. But if I do come back to this area, if we're not in our Florida one, I would actually want to start to incorporate some pedestrian bridges. I think that would be really cool. So I'm drawing this road out, and I'm trying to think about how I can connect it in. And sure enough, I got the idea. You know what? Let's bypass the highway here. It'll still connect in, but we have a beautiful connection, awesome interchange that I think Teddy did. That is across the way here that actually connects into this road. So what if these highways do connect after all? I did think, you know, like separating the tram depot and then the garbage area there would have been the move. But again, this area, the traffic ends up getting solved, so it doesn't end up being too big of an issue. Having this connect through, and I think that's because it's not fully connected. Like, it's got a highway to kind of bypass the tram depot and the waste depot, so it should be fine. So I'm going to draw out the road here and connect it in. And again, it just, oh man, these curves and the way I do miss it when I'm playing Cities 1. Which also, actually, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of curious. I do polls like this to see where people are at, but which game are you all playing? I've been playing a lot of Cities 1. I like the detailing there, and I like how some of the mods work in Cities 1 compared to Cities 2. So I've been playing a lot of Cities 1, especially procedural objects. Oh man, I love that mod. But man, Cities 2 is going to be such a great game. When we get all of those mods and we get those assets like this game, oh, it's going to be so good. Because like visually, whew, this game is so beautiful. Like the water. When I play this game, when I play Cities 2 for a bit, and then I go back and I look at the water in Cities 1, it actually pains me. I don't know how I dealt with that water. It's so long. Especially being somebody that lives in a coastal city, like the water of Cities 2 is spot on. Oh, it's so nice. Anyways, back to what we're building here. So we get the power connected underground there, and we got the roads connected to a bypass route, which means we can put on 3-speed and press play, and let's see what happens to the traffic, because it is a bit chaotic. Also, there's the tram route. So, yeah, tram route got disconnected because I rerouted the trams directly into the depot, not through the stretch of the road. So that is a job for the next episode, which I believe is going to get dealt with. Yeah. So at first I got really worried here because look at this traffic, but I realized this traffic has been backed up for God knows how long in game. So it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So we have to give it time for this modular roads idea to start to take an effect. But there are still some pieces that I want to add to it to make it look just a little bit better here. So we're gonna make sure all the services are connected first. So we gotta get the power connected in there, and then the water and the sewage as well. Also, it's called Questionable Industries, eh? Okay, yeah. Yeah, Questionable Industries is the culprit of today's episode for pure pain and chaos. My God, it is. Like, look at all the traffic, Jesus. So the ramps are, oh my God. So there's a lot. It does start to get better. Add in this road as well too that acts sort of like a bypass. We're going to add in a road that's going to connect directly to it to sort of help bypass that. So that one goes straight in, and then the vehicles can start to use that to go in, which is nice, but it's it's rough. It's rough. But I also figure out by doing this how the circuit of the building works, and I realized that it's a sort of like we could create a one-way circuit. But yeah, the other side has started to clean up. As you can see, it's starting to improve, starting to clean up there, which is nice. It's this left side by Questionable Industries that is really struggling and producing so much traffic, and it's still going through the roundabout there. But yeah, the other side's completely clear up right now, which is super nice. So there is some merit to what we built, you know. It is functioning. Like, look at that other side. It's completely, yeah, that's awesome. Completely clean. It definitely worked. So now I start to see this sort of one-way system take effect, which is cool. And then, yeah, there it is. Just checking out that pathfinding. Hopefully Teddy is able to fix the the tram there. And then let's clean up this road because that was a little bit messy, and you know, we can do a little bit better here with that. So yeah, all in, it looks pretty good. You know, we made some decent progress on the one side, but it's this other side that is really sort of struggling. So let's see if we can clean this up just a little bit. And yeah, we're kind of nearing the end of the episode here. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with the footage here of us sort of cleaning this up, seeing the progress that we made. Because again, we did solve, while this left side is still struggling a little bit, I'm really stoked on this episode. I'm not, you know, Biffa with the traffic. And so when I can come in and actually have some of my ideas work, it feels really, really good. And like that other interchange that we did before this one, that worked really well. Yeah, I'm stoked that we're starting to make progress, starting to make this city a better place to live in. Hope you all enjoyed this episode, and yeah, that's me. That's Timelapse Moose. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this episode. You can catch the next episode of 5B1C over on Teddy's channel, which is linked below. If you enjoyed the content here, a like is always greatly appreciated, and if you want to make sure you don't miss another episode, consider subscribing to the channel or joining these heckin' legends over on Patreon. Bread, Disney Dude, Shane Turner, Fish Bob, Braygard, the Yed _ Anthro. I'm Canadian Moose Plays. This was 5B1C, and I'll see you all in the next episode.